How to sexually reset your brain. My name's Whaler. I'm sitting here with the boss man himself, Mr. Nick Roberto. He's our executive director. I know you got all kinds of things to say about this. I don't even want to ask anything. Just tee it up. What do you got to say?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to sexually resetting your brain, I think most people don't even realize that you even have to engage it that way. But again, right, if you're talking about this pornography lust struggle, it's been 10 years, 12 years, 30 years. Like, we are engaging with these stories where your brain has these paths literally ingrained into it. We see it similarly in the brains of heroin addicts, where there's it's called neuroplasticity, where you have this groove, it's not a physical groove, but it's a path groove of like, whenever this stimulus happens, go here. And it just happens thousands of times for years. And so you really do have to sexually reset your brain, because this product that is pornography is hijacking the brains of people and they don't even know it.
Didn't they just recently show that pornography is even more addictive than heroin?
Yeah. All the research now that's coming out is starting to show in the brain scans that it's
like crazy.
comparable to or more. Yeah. And it's starting to give people pause and scare, because it's like, holy cow, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, like young kids are engaging with this stuff and their brains aren't even fully developed yet. So what's happening in the brain, and how do you sexually reset a brain of a child that's 9 years old that has had 5 years of this?
You have children with something like an invisible addiction to heroin, right?
What a nightmare thought.
Can you get your brain back to yourself?
Yes.
You're the child that introduces this stuff. Your nervous system has been trained in this direction. How do you pivot?
Yeah, so honestly, we have some friends that are brain scientists in this space, and the cool thing about the brain is that it can heal itself. It only needs time and the lack of, and like a space of time without that exposure. So that's where, when you go on this journey of sexually resetting your brain, you really just need to almost starve it of this thing that has been programming it for years. And, there's a process, and, we help walk people through that process. But that's kind of the good news in this conversation, is that your brain, the human organ, can rebuild and repair itself, irregardless of how many years of damage it's been impacted by.
When you use the language of starving it, is that an unpleasant transition?
Yeah. Your brain has wanted this, has known this. It has been its norm for most of the time for many, many, many years. So yeah, there's some withdrawal, there's some cravings, it's worth acknowledging that it is difficult, but anything worth having and receiving generally is. And so for those individuals that need to figure out how to sexually reset their brain, like, it's worth embarking on this difficult journey to get to the other side, because it's not always difficult. The difficulty does stop, it does pass, and then you just find yourself walking through the world with a healthy brain that's flourishing, that's not immediately running to try and treat the human body like a piece of meat for self-gratification. And it's this whole rewiring of truth, goodness, and beauty that we're supposed to see in the world, not objects to be consumed.
What's that like when you state it in the positive? How do you see somebody differently when you're no longer objectifying them that way?
Yeah, I mean, in my own story, I had an experience of this where, there was an encounter that would normally have caused me to lust or to self-gratify or to fantasize or to process the beginning of that. And all of a sudden, I had this totally unexpected response of compassion and care. And I was like blown away. Like, I was marveling at it while it was happening. And if in a way, that's an example of that, like, brain reset. Like, my brain pivots to care, compassion, this individual and maybe their story and the brokenness maybe they have been impacted by, and how that's informing their story of, potentially trauma that's happened to them. All I wanted was their goodness. It had nothing to do with me. And so that, in my opinion, was an example of my brain acting differently after being reset.
Found that sexual reset button.
Yes.
Well, man, thank you for sharing all that with us. Maybe a lot of this sounds familiar to you. If that's the case, don't worry about it. There's plenty of hope. We have a thing we call the encouragement series. exactly for people that want to experience this sexual reset. It'll retrain your imagination, give your body back to yourself, and help you see people as not just objects. Click the link below, sign up for that encouragement series. We look forward to meeting you soon.